Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take a topic, often suggested by listeners, grab some sources, and, well, we dive deep to pull out the key stuff so you get the insights fast.
And today, we're heading way back. We're looking at George S. Clason's classic, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah, quite a classic. It was written in the 1920s, set in ancient Babylon. So the big question right off the bat is, what can a book that old really teach us about money today?
The fair question.
Yeah.
I mean, even back then, the LA Times apparently called it a simple way to get the basics of money, good even for experienced investors, which is interesting.
And the book itself, it makes this big promise, doesn't it? That money's actually plentiful, but only for those who understand the simple rules of getting it. And these rules, unchanged for millennia.
Exactly. So our mission today, if you like, is to dig into those ancient stories and figure out what these timeless, simple rules really are. And more importantly, why they still matter for you trying to figure out finances now, without getting bogged down in complexity.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Babylon. The book puts us right there, and it's not just like a historical detail. It positions Babylon as the birthplace, the actual cradle of these core financial ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. Babylon had this huge reputation, right? Richest city around. But the book stresses this wasn't just luck. It was because the people there, well, they deliberately figured out how to get wealthy. They learned it.
There's that great story about King Sargon, isn't there? He sees all these amazing public works. The city looks great, but a lot of his people are broke. They just don't get the basics of managing their own money.
Right. And that's what leads him to Arkad. Arkad's known as the richest guy in town. And the king basically asks him, can you teach everyone else how you did it?
Which sets up the main part of the book, really. Arkad becomes the wise teacher, sharing his financial secrets. And these are packaged as the 7 cures for a lean purse, kind of the essential steps.
7 cures, yeah. Let's break them down. First one, start thy purse to fattening. Simple idea. Save at least 10% of everything you earn.
He uses that analogy, the egg merchant. Putting one more egg in the basket than he takes out each day, that little bit extra starts things off.
It's a great visual. It shows how saving even a small part consistently starts to build up right away. It's actually backed by behavioral science now, that habit formation.
Yeah, and the book even tackles the pushback. There's a student who complains budgeting is just restrictive, takes the fun out of life.
But Arkad flips that, doesn't he? He says a budget isn't about not having things. It's a tool. It helps you make sure you cover necessities. Yeah, but also helps you deliberately save for the things you really want. It's about control, basically.
So cure number 2 follows right on from that. Control thy expenditures. Basically, live on the 90% you have left after saving.
Exactly. Make sure your spending actually lines up with that plan. Stop the little leaks, the things that drain your purse, even when you're trying to save that 10%.
Okay, cure 3. This is where it gets interesting. Make thy gold multiply. So moving beyond to saving to actually putting that money to work, investing.
Yeah, the idea that your savings shouldn't just sit there. Arkad talks about it like a rental property bringing in more money. Your saved gold should be doing the same.
But how does that translate today? Investing seems so complex now compared to, ancient Babylon. How do we apply that make gold multiply idea wisely?
Well, the core principle holds. Your money needs to generate more money. It doesn't have to mean super high-risk stuff. It could be steady, long-term investments that match your comfort level, your goals, like planting a seed, nurturing it.
Okay, that makes sense. Which brings us to cure 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. Protection.
Right. Arkad warns that misfortune loves a shining mark. As you get wealthier, you become a target for loss. So learn to protect small amounts first.
He shares his own mistake here, doesn't he? That first investment.
Oh yeah, the brickmaker Asmer and the fake jewels. A painful lesson, but a good one. He trusted the wrong guy with his savings and got worthless glass.
So the lesson is,
get advice from people who actually know what they're talking about. Go to a jeweler about jewels, a shepherd about sheep. Today, that means doing your homework, maybe talking to qualified financial advisors, and, maybe diversifying, not putting all your gold in one basket.
Good point. Okay, cure 5 is a bit different. Make of thy dwelling a profitable investment, basically advocating for owning your home.
Arkad saw people paying loads of rent, living in unseemly quarters, he called it. He saw owning property, land, as good for the family, gives stability.
Homeownership is still a big goal for many, but it's not always easy today. Are there modern ways to think about this idea of a profitable dwelling or a core asset?
That's a really important point. While owning a house is great, the underlying idea is about securing a stable asset that grows in value or at least holds its value and reduces long-term costs. So maybe that's not a house right away. Maybe it's investing steadily in something like REITs or other stable assets that build equity over time.
Got it. Building equity, securing something long-term. Okay, cure 6. Ensure a future income. Thinking ahead.
Yeah, planning for later life, for unexpected things, making investments that will support you down the road. Arcad even describes something that sounds remarkably like life insurance people pooling small amounts regularly to help a family if someone dies. Pretty forward thinking.
It really is. It's basically modern retirement planning and insurance, just phrased differently.
Exactly, setting up that safety net for the future.
And finally, cure 7, which feels crucial. Increase thy ability to earn.
This one's huge. It wasn't in Arcad's initial list to the students, but the book hammers it home. Keep learning, keep improving your skills, make yourself more valuable. That's how you boost your income potential.
Right. Investing in yourself is maybe the best investment. It directly impacts how much you can save and invest later.
Absolutely. Your ability to earn is your biggest financial engine. Okay, so those are the 7 cures, the foundation. But the book goes further, right, into things like luck and how wealth actually behaves.
Yeah, let's talk about luck. There's that whole discussion in the Temple of Learning. They debate how you attract good luck.
And the consensus wasn't about magic, was it? It was about being ready, being proactive. Luck favors action. It's about seizing opportunities when they show up, not just waiting around.
They tell those stories, the old merchant who hesitated on a deal, the guy who missed out on buying sheep because he put it off. Procrastination is the enemy of luck, basically.
And Arcad sums it up bluntly. Men of action please her best. The goddess of good fortune likes people who get things done. You need to be ready to jump when the chance is there.
So it's about mindset and action, not just waiting passively.
Definitely. And that connects to another key part, the 5 laws of gold. This comes through a story told by Calabab recounting what Arcad taught his son, Nomasir.
Okay, let's quickly run through those 5 laws. First, gold comes gladly to savers, those putting aside that 10th.
Second, gold works hard for wise owners who find good work for it, meaning smart investments.
Third, gold sticks with cautious owners who take advice from the wise.
Fourth, gold slips away if you invest in things you don't understand or get bad advice. Kind of links back to Arcad's jewel mistake.
Right. And fifth, gold flees anyone trying to force impossible returns or following scammers. Basically, avoid get-rich-quick schemes.
And Nomasir's own story really drives these home. He blew his first lot of gold, learned the hard way, then applied the laws and succeeded. It shows you need patience, good advice, and realism.
The book also gets into lending, doesn't it? Through Mathon, the gold lender.
Yeah, Rodan gets some gold and goes to Mathon for advice. And Mathon's wisdom on lending is, well, pretty timeless.
What does he focus on?
Key things. Can the borrower actually repay? What's the purpose of the loan? Is it to make more money or just, frivolous spending? And what's the security, the collateral?
He had that token chest, right, representing different loans.
Exactly. Some successes, some failures. Like the farmer buying goats, good investment. The unreliable son wanting money, bad risk. It's all about judging the person and the purpose.
And his final advice, that inscription.
Better a little caution than a great regret. Sums it up perfectly. Be careful who you lend to and why.
Then there's the analogy of the walls of Babylon. How does that fit in?
It's about protection again, but broader. Just like the city walls kept invaders out, we need financial walls.
So things like insurance, emergency funds.
Precisely. Insurance savings, solid investments, they protect you from life's unexpected hits, the financial invaders. The book says you cannot afford to be without adequate protection.
Makes sense. And what about debt? That's a huge issue for people today.
The book tackles it head-on with Davizir, the camel trader. He's deep in debt, feels hopeless, but then creates a plan.
The plan on the clay tablets. What was it again?
Simple, but powerful. 1/10 of earnings to save, 7/10 to live on, and the remaining 2/10 dedicated solely to paying off debts.
And he stuck to it, dealing with different creditors. It shows it's possible, even if hard.
Yeah, and the book mentions someone, Alfred Shrewsbury, using a similar plan much later and succeeding. It proves the principle works across time. The realization Davizir has is key. It's actually easier to stick to a plan and pay debts than to constantly run and hide from them.
That's a powerful thought. Finally, there's the story emphasizing work itself. The luckiest man in Babylon, Shahrunada.
Right. His journey from slavery to wealth wasn't luck, it was
Work, Megiddo's advice. Work is the best friend a man can ever have.
Sharunada lived it. Hard work didn't just earn him money, it created opportunities, led to partnership. It's contrasted with Hadan Gula, who initially scorned work but eventually saw its value.
So work isn't just about income, it's about building character, earning respect, and creating your own luck.
Exactly, it's fundamental. So as we wrap up, the book acknowledges Babylon itself eventually crumbled, the physical city declined.
But the ideas survived. That's the point, isn't it? The wisdom recorded on those clay tablets, it endured.
Absolutely, and that's the core message for you listening today. These principles from ancient Babylon, they're not really about complex finance bro speak or predicting the market. They're about fundamental behaviors, how you earn, how you save, how you protect what you have, and how you make it grow.
They seem simple, maybe even obvious when laid out like this, but applying them consistently is the challenge.
It always is. So the final thought to leave you with, reflecting on all this ancient wisdom, what's one thing, just one concrete action you could take today to apply one of these cures or laws in your own financial life?
Are you going to be that man or woman of action Arkad talked about? Something to think about?
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Babylon's enduring financial lessons. Hope it gave you some useful things to consider for your own journey.